Marks, get set and go.
Tim, what's up? Good to see you.
Hey, good to see you too, man.
General opening statement, anything you want to say about the program and introduce us to the players that you brought with you today?
Well, I have Miles Brooks and Tyson Brooks, and then Elijah Page. Their names speak for themselves. All above 3.0 GPA athletes. But no, those are the guys. We're just here to answer questions.
Coach, you got a lot of talent up there at the table and on your team this year. How do they compare to some of the teams you've coached before? Granted, you haven't played a game yet this season.
That's a interesting question because as coaches, sometimes we have those fun conversations in comparison to teams. But ultimately, every team is different. Every team has its own, build, its own character, and its own mix of athletes, essentially. But in reference to just, the chemistry aspect, I say this team is a lot more gel. This team is a lot more team oriented, and a lot more self-driven than some of the teams that I've had in the past. So you don't really have to ask these guys to do things that they go out there and they do it themselves. I had a large group of guys probably this past season out on the field just, leading up, getting work, or whatever they feel is work, out on the field. Sometimes kids want to do work, they ain't necessarily know what you really want to do right. But the fact of the matter is they're getting together, and that chemistry is just as important as the actual concept they're working.
And Coach, what has been the biggest area of emphasis in your program during the offseason?
Biggest areas of emphasis is always, discipline and culture. I think we're still heavy in our culture establishment phase. With young kids, I think high school coaches are always in that phase. You get a new group of kids, they're kids, so they get so many different levels of influences that we got to fight against. But the focus is getting better every day, and that's a culture thing. Mindset, not just talking about it, but actually doing it, having some consequences established so the guys understand that you just can't do this, that, and the third, and not get consequences. But just as a culture, establishing that, and I have to say, for my coaches, shouts out to those guys. I think it's probably the best staff I've had since I've been around them, and that's a big part of establishing culture. Just the guys you have around, setting those parameters for the athletes, and just staying consistent on in terms of expectations.
Coach, what's going on, man? Last year, man, you guys gave us 2 great games against Highland Springs, and you end up losing the regional championship, which was a classic game. Thank you, by the way, for us fans.
Right.
But what would be the message to this year's team going into the season, man? You guys were so close.
Don't fumble 3 times. Seriously, honestly, turnovers are a big part of the game, right? And there's probably some areas of emphasis that we could do better as coaches. Obviously those moments, they stick with you, so you never want to lose that way again. But ultimately, it still goes back to the discipline, the consistency. GPE is what we see get better every day. Ultimately, is the goal, and that's probably everybody's goal in here. We just got to do it differently based on the group of kids that we have. So if we get these guys to understand that every day is what matters more than anything else, then we'll be in a position, we'll be aligned in a position to do something.
Appreciate it, Coach.
For the players, what are your goals for this season?
Our goals for the season?
Yes, sir.
We'll definitely make the regional championship again as a team, and if we can, the state championship.
I'd say the same thing. I mean, it was right there at the beginning, so really make that next step to the state.
Our goal for the season is just to go all the way to finish.
Question again for the players, could be for all 3 of y'all. I'm going to ask you to hype up teammates, anyone who's not here today, as part of y'all squad that's been really impressing you in the offseason. You think it's set for a big year?
I say our whole D-line as well as the offensive line.
I would say our transfer Terrell, we got new players in new positions, so I'm really excited.
I like to hype up my O-line, all my wide receivers, and we're getting it done this offseason.
Let's hear it for Hermitage.
Thank you, guys.